Hello and welcome. Welcome to our module on configuring AWS to capture and store network information with VPC Flow Logs. VPC Flow Logs is a feature that enables you to capture information about the IP traffic going to and from network interfaces in your virtual private cloud or VPC. Flow Logs data can be published to the following locations: Amazon CloudWatch Logs, Amazon S3, or Amazon Data Firehouse. After you create a flow log, you can retrieve and view the flow log records in the log group, bucket, or delivery stream that you configured. Once we configure VPC Flow Logs, we will be able to configure USM Anywhere to retrieve and analyze those logs. But before we can get going with VPC Flow Logs, there are a couple of prerequisites we need to take care of. First, we're going to need to create a log group, and a log group is used to store the VPC Flow Logs. Then we're going to need to create or modify an existing role if we already have one. This will allow VPC to write to our new log group that we create. From our AWS console, we need to navigate to CloudWatch. You can access CloudWatch from the recently visited links, from the search bar, or from your favorites. I'll hit that, and we're going to go to log groups. We're going to create a new log group, give it a name. We'll leave the retention setting as never expire. We'll leave the log class standard. We're not going to use KMS encryption, and we are going to just go ahead and click create. There it is. We have created our VPC flow log group. From here, we need to go to our VPC dashboard and create a flow log group. So I'll go up to the top and click on my VPC link here in my favorites, and then open up my VPC. I'm going to need to add a flow log. I can either right click and create flow log, or as usual, you have the actions menu here on the right, and that's the one I'm going to select. So I have some parameters that I need to fill. So I'll set the name and we'll call it flow log. I need to tell it what kind of traffic I am going to be capturing. I can choose to only capture accept traffic or reject traffic or all. In our case, we'll select all. We'll leave it at the 10-minute aggregation interval. The destination, we want it to be CloudWatch logs. And the destination log group here, we'll pick the one we created earlier. As far as the role, we're going to select the CloudWatch role that we created in a previous video. And the AWS default format will be the log record format. I'll scroll to the bottom and I click Create Flow Log. And there it is. At the top, we see the message that our flow log has been successfully created. Now that the flow log is created, we're going to need to go edit the existing role we use. This is because we have not been monitoring flow logs up to this point, and we need to give that role the proper permissions to access resources. So we're going to go back to the AWS console, or we can click on the AIM favorite link here at the top. We'll make our way down into the roles area. And there are several roles in the system already, but we are interested in the role we previously created in the CloudWatch agent video. I'll select that. And when I open the role, I'm going to go to Trust Relationships. Here in Trust Relationships, we have to set up a trust for this IAM role to work. And just as a reminder, with AWS and with IAM, everything is a default deny. In other words, if you're not granted explicit access, it's going to default to a denied permission. So I'm going to go on the right and edit this trust policy. And here's our policy document. This policy document, it's in JSON format, and the effect of this policy is to allow only certain actions. You can see here the action is assume role. So this policy is allowing certain types of things to assume a role with this designation called the principal. The principal element is used to specify a user, an AWS account, an AWS service, or some other entity that is allowed or denied access to a resource. If we look at the principal here, we currently only have one principal, and that's the ec2.amazonaws.com. In order for our VPC Flow Logs to work with this policy, we're going to need to add the principal for our VPC Flow Logs. And what we need to do is we need to put a comma after this element. Then we're going to add another element and save our policy. So I'll add the comma here and add the new service designation of VPC Flow Logs.amazonaws.com. And we'll go down to the bottom and update policy. So this is then going to allow our flow logs to assume the role that it needs to for this to work in our environment. And we're going to pause the video here to give it a few minutes to ingest some data. Let's now make our way to CloudWatch to see if we can see some of this data. So I click on CloudWatch here in my favorites link. And I go down to log groups. Then we'll select our VPC Flow log group. And at the bottom, we can see the different log streams coming in now. So this is the actual network data in our environment. Let's go to USM Anywhere and let's go to the events area to see that under data source here, we still don't see the VPC Flow logs. The reason for that is because we have not created the scheduled task that is going to pull that data from CloudWatch and bring it in here into USM Anywhere. We're going to go to Settings, Scheduler, and here on the right, we'll create the new job by clicking on the New Job button. We'll give it a name. The action type is going to be Amazon Web Services. The app action is going to be to monitor CloudWatch. The region name is going to be our US-East-2. And our group name, we're going to use the group name that we use in CloudWatch, and that is the VPC Flow Log group. The stream name, remember when we configure that VPC Flow Log, we said that we were going to include all streams. So I'll put the star symbol here. And the source format is going to be raw. And the data source is going to be Amazon VPC Flow Logs. And the scheduler will make it to scan or pull every 5 minutes. On the right, we'll click Save. And wait a few minutes and go back to the events page and see if those events are coming in. We can see here in our data sources that we still don't have the VPC Flow Log events coming in. So wait a few minutes and pause the video. So let's refresh the page again and see if our data source of VPC Flow Logs is there. And there it is. I can select it here on our data source, and we can see that the types of events that are coming in are the accepts and the rejects, as well as some other skip data. Thank you very much for watching.